Hi all. The target of the presentation is to explain about Spring Boot microservices. How can you implement microservices using Spring Boot framework? How can you register services in registry server? How can we access endpoints from the registry server? Uh, what I'm trying to explain in this video, I'm just going through the presentation and explain about the overview of the microservices. How can you write the code for each and every service? How can you register these services in a registry server? Uh, the main target is to face the interview. While facing Spring Boot microservices interview, what are the things we need to remember? What are the things we need to learn? That I am going to explain in this presentation. Let's start the presentation. As we all know, 10 years back or 15 years back, uh, while working on IT projects, we have one kind of architecture, monolithic architecture. The purpose, the intention of the architecture is to develop the whole system in a single phase, it's like a single unit. Okay, so we need to write the whole code under one system. We need to implement the business functionality in that system. We need to deploy and we need to run the single unit for the whole application. Okay, that is called monolithic architecture. Okay, uh, right? We have mainly we have three layers while working on IT projects: the user interface layer, business logic, data access layer. Okay, uh, uh, that and all build under single unit. Okay, uh, now most of the project going to develop under microservice architecture. Right? What is micro service? Okay, what is microservice? Okay, we have functionality, right? We have IT while working on any IT project. We have business functionality for the required project, right? So instead of implementing the whole business logic as a single unit, what we do, we split the logic, we split the business functionality as a components. Okay, each component we develop as a service. Okay, here right? We'll split the business functionality. We'll write service for that functionality. Again, we'll split the business functionality. We'll write service for that functionality. Uh, we'll split the business functionality. We'll write service for the functionality. So what we do, now we have services for each and every functionality. So these services we register in a registry server, the Eureka server. Okay. Uh, so from that server, we'll access these services. Okay. So right. So once we deploy the application, we'll create instances. We'll provide ports, especially for while we provide ports for each and every instance means it's a load balancing. So load balancing means it would improve the performance of the application. Okay, because this application n number of users going to access, right? So the whole the complete load on the application falls on the single port means the performance slows down. So what we do, we'll maintain some load balance. We'll create ports for each and every instance. So the server, what it would do depends on the request that would provide the instance from picking from different ports. Okay. uh, so once you each and every service, right? We register these services in a registry server, right? So that would maintain the load balancing based on the traffic, based on the request traffic that would provide the instances or services from different ports. Okay, this is all about microservice architecture. Okay, on the screen you can see the system. Okay, microservices system, how it would appear. Okay, uh, right side you can see online shopping service. It has like account service, product catalog, card server, order server. Means account service is one of the service, product catalog another service, card server another service, order server another service. So account service, the, it would work with accounts DB instance. prod catalog that would work with prods DB instance, card server that would work with card DB instance, order server that would work with order DB instance. Okay, so each and every like it's an online shopping service means it's a functional, it's a requirement for online shopping service. Okay, it has a business functionality. So while working on microservices, it splits like each and every functionality splits as a service. Okay, account related things from the online shopping service functionality, account service is one of the business requirement, product catalog that is one of the business requirement, card server that is one of the business requirement, order server that is one of the business requirement. So we split each and every functionality, we split and we write as a service for each and every functionality. Okay, so the left hand side you can see like see we just pick two services, web service and account service. Okay, so both services we have registered in Eureka server. Okay, on the screen you can see like uh, different browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Explorer, Internet Explorer, Safari, uh, all the things from the browsers. The user is to invoke that respective service. Okay, what it would do like that would fetch the service from the Eureka registry. Okay, that will provide that will pick the service, get the information, required information, send back to the user. Okay, this is how we implement microservices. Okay, just all in the see we are going to work on a Spring Boot framework to develop this microservices, right? So all are in the form of RESTful services. Okay, RESTful services. Okay, you just go through the slide. I just provided enough information to remember to learn these services, how we split the services based on the business requirement. So we can able to talk about the services once we face the interview. Okay. Yeah, this presentation using Spring Cloud Netflix Eureka instances. What it will do, like the Spring Cloud Netflix provides Netflix versus integration for Spring Boot apps through auto configuration and binding to the Spring environment and other Spring programming model items. With a few simple annotation, you can quickly enable and configure the common patterns inside your application and build large distributed systems with the battle tested Netflix components. The patterns provides include service discovery Eureka instances. Okay, the main features of the Spring Flow Netflix Eureka instances are like these instances can be registered and clients can discover the instances using Spring managed beans. At the same time, it has embedded Eureka server. It can be created with declarative Java configuration. Okay, so what here I am going to do like I'm going to add these Spring Charter Cloud Netflix artifacts. Okay, so these things are available. Once we add the Spring Cloud Netflix artifacts to the application, this server, this embedded server available in the Spring Boot application. Okay, service registration. What it would do, like we know RMI, right? RMI process, right? Remote method identification. Uh, like that would pick each instance while working with RMI, that would pick the instances from the service registry. Okay, microservices has the same requirement, same mechanism to pick the instances. Okay, here Netflix. If you talk about Netflix process, right? When you have multiple process working together, they need to find each other, right? If you have ever used Java RMA mechanism, you may recall that it is delivered in a central registry so that RMA process could find each other. So microservices have the same mechanism. Okay. Uh, See, we we are using like the Eureka registration server with Netflix. Okay. So so we what we do like the once we add this the Spring parent the cloud Netflix servers Netflix artifacts to the application, we can auto configure. Okay, we can auto configure these things with the application. Okay. On the screen, we can see main class of the Spring Boot application. See, we here like I have used like two annotations. One Spring Boot application, one enable Eureka server. Okay, right? Why we have used Spring Boot application annotation means like suppose if you want to develop any Spring Boot application, we need to write a class. It has main method. That class should annotate with Spring Boot application. Okay. Here, like we are working the service registry, right? So we need to enable that service registry. Okay. So that's the main reason I have enabled this. I have annotated enable Eureka server. Okay. Eureka server with this class. Okay. Okay. This is common the Spring Boot application form build form. Okay. So here we are adding the dependencies of the Spring Boot application. The top we can say like Spring Boot starter artifact. We have Spring Boot starter web. Now here I have included Spring Cloud starter. This is for say like service registry means we are working with Spring Cloud the service registries, right? So I have included that artifact. Uh, at the same time, we are working with Eureka server, right? So I have included the artifact, the dependency, Spring Cloud starter Eureka server. Okay, I just given the dependency information to the application so that we can able to work with these dependencies. Okay, here I have included Spring Cloud dependencies artifact. So that would import the Spring Cloud dependencies. So these dependencies available to use in the application. Previous screen, we written one class, right? Spring Boot main class, right? There we have annotated like enable Eureka server, right? That is also one of the service that is for service registry. Okay. Here, like on the see, we can see I am writing account service microservices. Okay. So this is for this is client services. Okay. Like this is also like a Spring Boot main class. So we need to annotate. So this is Spring Boot main class, right? So this class should annotate with the Spring Boot application. At the same time, we need to annotate enable discovery client. Enable discovery client. So we are enabling this as a client. Uh, okay, for the registry. Okay, same like same Spring Boot class with main method. Okay, we have two statements, right? We have two statements like one statement like see like see in the like what we know see in the properties file what we do like we what are the things we record like JDBC related things, the service name, ports, the service registry things, what all the things we use to put in properties file, right? So default is application properties. Suppose if you want to name provide different name for the properties file, what we do like we need to set that property. We need to set that property to Spring config name. Here, account server is the property file that I am using for this account service. Okay, account service. So that I am setting the property for Spring configuration name. Okay, same like Spring application that I run means that would help to run the Spring Boot application. So the like just see the screen. This is account service properties file. The This is the main thing, right? So like earlier I was explained the microservices, how microservices would work, right? So we need registry, we need client services. Okay. So registry means like what are the services we have developed. That services will register in registry service. Okay. So just remember, I have written one Spring Boot class with main method. There I have enabled there I annotated enable Eureka server with that class, right? So that is registry. That is for registry. Okay, registry server. Okay. Uh, Another class. I've written another Spring Boot application, right? Spring Boot application class, right? With main method. Uh, there I have provided one annotation, enable the Eureka client, right? That is client service. That is client service. This service will register in registry server. Okay. So, as I said, like application properties, application properties is the default properties file. Suppose if you want to customize the properties file, we need to we need to provide, we need to set that property to Spring config name. Okay. In the previous screen, I shown in that class, right? Just set the property uh, for Spring Boot config name as customize the properties name. Okay. So, like I just providing the overview of enable auto configuration means that is mainly for Spring Boot application that would help to auto configure the things. Okay. Another thing is like enable discovery client annotation. Okay, this enables service registration and discovery. This process registers itself with the discovery server service using this application name. Okay. Uh, so right, in the Spring applications, suppose if you want to import any a class, we need to annotate import with that class. Okay, so that is common. Okay, so just coming to the properties, I just named the service as account service. You can see like a Spring application name. This is YML file. Okay, right, YML file, how to write YML file, right? So the in general in the properties file what we do, like some name equal to will provide value, right? So here we separated with a column, like Spring column, application column, name column, account service. Spring application name means, this means like accounts, Spring application name, account service. The another thing is like see, this is for registry. Okay, this is registry server, registry. Okay. Like I just enabling the Eureka client, Eureka client. Okay. See uh, the service URL is registry service URL is uh, HTTP localhost 41 Eureka. See, I just implemented this application locally, so I just provided localhost only. Okay. Uh, in the production, will provide the actual host name. Okay. This is what I'm trying to explain here, right? This is registry URL, service URL. Okay. Just HTTP localhost 41 Eureka. This is registry URL. Okay. Where we have provided means account service, client service. In the client service properties file, we need to provide service URL. Client service. So account service is the client service. It has property file named as account service.yml file. In that YML file, I have provided service URL. Okay, that is so here we have used localhost. So host name is localhost, port 411111 Eureka. That is a mapping name. Eureka is the endpoint mapping name. Okay. So where we have registered this service, we provided that information in this properties file. Okay. Port, just define port name 2222. Okay. So what I am trying to say, like if you are new with Spring Boot application, in the next presentation, I will provide the uh, complete tutorial of Spring Boot. Okay, so this is especially for entrance purpose. while facing the Spring Boot microservices interview. What are the things we need to remember? Just providing that information. Okay. In the next presentation, definitely I provide complete Spring Boot. Okay. We have implemented Spring Boot registry service, uh, account service. Now here we are implementing web service. Okay, this is another service. Okay, right? Suppose if you want to write any Spring Boot application, we need to annotate Spring Boot application, annotate Spring Boot application annotation with that class. At the same time, here also I'm annotating enable discovery client. So because this is client service, okay. So I just annotating enable discovery client. Whenever we annotate that one, this service would available to the registry. Okay, we can able to register this service in the service registry. Okay. Uh, Remaining things are common only, like setting the property file. This property file for this service, I am naming the property file as web server. On the screen, you can see I'm setting the system property, just providing Spring config name as web server. Okay. As usual, we need to run the Spring Boot application, right? For that, we need to write Spring application that run, provide that class name and arguments. Okay. One more thing is like we can see like bin creation, creating the instance of the bin instance. That is the REST template. Like what did you do? Like suppose inter access. Suppose if you want to access any service from any registry, we need one API, right? Here we are using REST template. That is one of the API provided by the Spring Boot framework. Okay, we use that REST template in this application to access that services from the service registry. As I said, like we need to write the property for that service client service, right? So here the web server that YML, that is the property file. In that property file, we need to provide the service URL. Okay, service URL. We need to provide a port number. Okay. So the like we are naming this service as web service. You see like Spring application name, Spring colon application colon name colon web service. That means Spring application name is web service. We are defining the service URL default zone where we are going to register this client service. Okay, like port number for once, the endpoint mapping name Eureka. Okay, so this service, this client service available in that the respective service registry. Okay, I am naming the port as 433333. Okay, so we have implemented registry service, one account service, client service, web service, client service. Okay, both we register in that in a Netflix registry service. Okay, in the previous screen we just created a bean, right? As template bean. They here we are getting that instance of the bean. Okay, with the help of the REST template instance, we are invoking get for object. Get for object means this is the operation provided under REST template API. So with the help of get for object method, we are calling the client service from the registry. Okay, that would return the object. So I hope everyone understand this presentation. Uh, just remember, like we created service registry, we created client service, account service, client service, web server, client service, right? So both registered in registry service. Okay. Here, microservice, we created microservices. There is a call within the microservice. How can you call within the microservice? Means we need to use REST template API. That's the main reason we have created bean and we declared instance. With the help of the instance, we invoke that method get for object. With that method, we pass endpoint URL that would return the object. Okay, this is how we implement microservices. So what I'm trying to say, like if we remember this information, what we have provided in the presentation, so easily we can able to answer the interview questions because interview means it's not like question and answers. We need to understand the topic. That's the main reason I'm providing the topics. So if you are confident with that respective topic, if you are confident with that project by using that framework or whatever technique. So you can able to answer confidently. So it's not like interview means it's not like they are asking questions providing answers. That is interviewers won't think like that. He has experience on that particular thing or not. That is the main. That is mm, the important thing to remember. We need to provide. We need to impress. Yes, I worked on this, so I know the complete information, complete implementation of this topic. Okay, so then interviewer get the impression. Yes, this guy worked on this area, so we can select this guy. Okay, it's not like question and answer. That's the main reason. Instead of um, providing question and answers, just providing the presentation, providing the presentation with the full information. Okay, with that information you can able to answer easily. Okay, all the best. Thanks for watching. Please share my presentation to other IT professionals so they can able to go through this presentation. They can able to face the interviews also. The main intention of this presentation is to share my experience to the next generation. It's not like whoever, so I need a viewership. It's not like that. I'm just sharing my experience to next generation. Okay. Thanks for watching. All the best.